Today, I'm taking my writing on the run, into the heart of Kingston, New York, where a writer's retreat is hidden away in this historical building. Once a fairly prestigious school between 1774 and 1830, now something quite different. Today, we're at the Rough Draft in Kingston, New York. There's some type of activity with the Kingston Writers Group tonight. I think they're doing some live sprints and have some type of presentation. I've brought my iPad along with me, and this is where this episode of The Story Detective is taking place. It's supposed to be a combination bookstore, cafe, and pub. I've never been here, so this should be interesting. Walking into the Rough Draft, you're immediately greeted by books, tables and shelves filled with them. I was surprised by the selection, expecting maybe a handful of shelves tucked in a corner near a reading area. I also found out there's a used bookstore down the street, and they have an online shop that sells audiobooks, either through a monthly subscription or individually. Unfortunately, I arrived too late to join the writing sprints, which were already underway. Not wanting to disrupt their session, I bought a cappuccino and sat at a wooden bench overlooking the street's historical architecture. Little did I know the writers group would become an entire subplot for this video. But first, let's talk a little about the history behind this place. I'm reading from the Friends of Kingston historical site for most of this information. This building served as the original home of Kingston Academy, founded in 1774. The private school offered classical studies, and students were required to speak in Latin during the school day. In addition to tuition, students had to provide 2 loads of firewood. Women were not admitted until 1809, and were offered a curriculum not as heavy in mathematics and science as the men. The school attracted students statewide, and distinguished alumni include artist John Vanderlyn, Governor DeWitt Clinton, Erie Canal, and Edward Livingston, Secretary of the State under Andrew Jackson, and later Minister to France. We've previously discussed on this channel ways in which to approach marketing on social media and in person, things to do and not to do. Today, I encountered an excellent example of what you should avoid. The woman, whose name I never received, was the representative of a local writers group. She may have been having a bad day, or have been pressed for time, in which case, if this should ever happen, just say so. Most people will understand if you have kids waiting, or plans you're running late for. A business card with contact information, social media, or an email address works wonders. So does a smile and hope to hear from you soon. Unfortunately, I didn't get any of those things. Here's how things actually went down. Exams at the Academy were held twice yearly, and bleachers were set up so an audience could watch. It became a tourist event that people from all over the state came to watch. No pressure there, you have to give your answers orally in front of an audience and put on a show at the same time. The day began with a parade starting at the Bogardus Tavern, the site of the first New York State Assembly meetings, formerly on northwest corner Fair Street and Maiden Lane, and proceeded to the Academy. Led by a brass band, the parade included the Academy trustees, teachers, and students. The old Dutch church tolled its bells, and after exams, dinners and balls were held in the evening. As the writing group dispersed, saying their goodbyes, I approached the rep. I explained how I arrived late, and I didn't want to disrupt whatever they were doing, but would definitely like to hear more about their group. A hand went immediately up like a stop sign. "Wait," she said, walking back to her seat and began putting things into a bag. I wasn't sure why we couldn't talk while she did this, but I decided to wait, as instructed. While she was packing her things, an elderly gentleman approached her, and they talked for a few minutes. She didn't seem rushed with this guy. She was actually very polite. When she finally walked back to the end of the table where I stood, she said, "We meet once a month here, for about an hour and a half. We do writing sprints, usually about 3 of 30 minutes each." Then she turned abruptly, picked up her bag, and left. No introductions, no contact info, not even a hint of a hello or a smile. Though on the Rough Draft event page, it distinctly said one of the group's missions was to foster community among writers in the area. The original building had a hip roof and a bell tower. The main entrance was on John Street. Over the years, commercial adaptations, such as the large first-floor windows, have compromised the original architecture. The Academy occupied the site until it moved to a new larger building on the Academy Green in 1830. And while I understand historians wanting to preserve the original structure, I also love it when these historical buildings can be utilized in ways which adds to the community and gives creators a place where past and present meet to fuel ideas. Events can be difficult. I've seen things go badly for people who gave time out of their busy schedule to have people show up and insult them, or event planners who didn't do their job. I remember a writer, whose name I won't mention here, losing his temper and throwing books off the table after he signed them. And while he had every reason to be angry, the folks who showed up to buy his books were saying, "Man, this guy is an asshole in real life." Our parallel on YouTube is that in spite of all of our little problems, we're here for the same reason, to build a platform for future readers. We're all going to make mistakes, stumble along the way, and that's okay. People love to see that we're human, vulnerable, what we had to overcome in order to finish our books. What we don't want to do is get on that stage and realize our greatest competition, our biggest setback, is ourselves. If you're ever in the Kingston area, I would recommend the Rough Draft wholeheartedly. And if you do find yourself sitting at one of their tables, your favorite beverage at hand, I hope these stories of the past will add something to your present. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll subscribe, like, and ring that notification bell. So until we meet again along the cyber winds that carry us across time and space, keep those keyboards clacking.